All right. Um, let's address the fact that I gained weight. So if you're not following my Instagram and considering how few views I get here, I'm guessing you probably aren't. Um, why are we yelling? Sorry if you can hear my neighbors. They're yelling in the hallway. Um, I wanted to address the fact that I had gained weight this last week and kind of talk about that, kind of talk through my feelings on it, and address. Sorry, neighbors are loud. And address, I guess, the difference between making excuses for myself and learning from my mistakes. Um, a lot of times, I'm just going to ignore the chaos that's happening outside. Good Lord. I feel like a lot of times, at least from what I've seen and my own past experiences with weight loss and trying to get healthy and trying to get fit, is that when you mess up, you kind of want to make excuses for yourself. You want to be like, oh well, this week was super stressful. Oh, blah blah blah. Also, side note, if you see me rubbing my eyes or if I'm sneezing or sniffling a lot, my allergies have been kicking my butt this week, which is why you can see these big old bags under my eyes. It's not that I'm tired, although I am tired, but that's not from me being tired. That's swelling and puffiness from allergies, so apologies. um, yeah. But to, um, I guess, address everything with my allergies, my weight loss, and all that kind of stuff, and lack thereof. I know that last week I made a lot of excuses for myself, and I know I didn't push myself as hard as I could have. Um, Sorry, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm trying to get them in order here. I made a lot of excuses for making my bad decisions in the moment. And anybody who's ever gone through a health journey or a weight loss journey or anything like that can tell you it is learning to make good decisions one decision at a time and just choosing to do that every single time you make a decision. So it's not like you make one decision to change and become healthier every time you come up against the things that are difficult for you and the things that stand in the way of you getting healthier. You have to make that decision all over again. Um, and I work a job that is very stressful and it's long hours, and I usually am very sore and very tired by the time I get done with work. And on those days, I have to actively make the decision to not just order fast food. I have to actively make the decision to make food for myself, and I have to actively make the decision for it to be healthy food. When I'm working long drives and we stop somewhere for lunch, I have to actively make the decision to choose something healthy on the menu because choosing something unhealthy is usually the easiest option. It's what is most readily available. And it's not easy. Um, and this last week, also, I did not work out as much as I could have. Um, and I made, the excuse for myself that, like, people I work out with were busy, and so I didn't work out with them. Oh, like I worked a lot of long days, so I didn't want to work out in the morning before work, but then I didn't want to work out after work. Um, and so I did not work out as much as I should have, um, and as hard as I should have. I actively chose to eat food let me rephrase. No, you know what? I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat it. I made the choice to eat things that were not healthy for me because I'm a stress eater on top of just in general a comfort eater and a poor eater, as far as like the foods that I choose to eat. Again, every time I make a video. So when I'm stressed, I eat junk food. When I'm hungry, first choice is junk food. And so I chose in those moments to eat things that weren't good for me. I've been trying to cut back on soda. That didn't work too well this week. While I did not drink as much as I normally do of soda, I still went for soda. And getting into a mindset of like, I'm just going to cut these things out wholesale also really hurt me. As far as like, when I was talking about things, I was like, oh, I'm gonna, like do things in increments or whatever. And for whatever reason, I said that out loud, and in my head, instead, I was going, nope, I'm gonna wholesale get rid of these things. And that really hurt me. That hurt my progress because then the first time that I had soda, I definitely felt like absolute garbage emotionally because I felt like I had messed up and that I was a failure. Um, and I didn't want to admit that to myself, but that was kind of how my brain went. Um, yeah. And so then, whenever anybody who I think has gone through this can probably attest to this, but anytime that happens, you then turn around and anytime you feel guilt for failing in a weight loss or in a health journey, you immediately want to just like go back to the thing that comforted you the most and give up on the hard work. It doesn't make logical sense, but it's just the way things go sometimes. And that's a little bit of what happened. Luckily, I didn't like undo all of my hard work. I only gained, I want to say, like 1.3 pounds. So, oh my god, my eyes itch so bad. I'm so sorry. Oh. Oh. Um, so I only gained like 1.3 pounds, so I didn't undo all of my hard work. Um, but it was a first big stumbling block, and it was a learning curve. Um, so, what can we learn from that? I think a big part of what I can learn from that is not to go whole hog. And I know that this is what I was saying before, but I really have to ingrain it in my own mind of like enjoying things in increments or potentially swapping out um like higher calorie dense things with lighter calorie dense thing, or like things with higher fats and all that kind of stuff with something that's similar but less than, so that I can start kind of working it out of my diet instead of just trying to completely cut it out. Because one thing that I've noticed is I really crave sugary things and like high carb things when I'm stressed, and then I immediately feel really bad afterwards. I get so tired if I eat really like carb and sugar heavy foods. I never noticed this before, but I'm noticing it now is like when I drink soda, like because I don't just drink like regular soda. Like I love a good Pepsi, but nitro Pepsis and cream sodas, anytime I have those where it's like the really really sweet stuff, I get so tired afterwards. Even though there's caffeine in it. Um yeah, so I drink a lot of Celsius, and the temptation is to just replace all my soda with Celsius, but Celsius has a lot of caffeine in it, and I already consume a stupid amount of caffeine, and I need to have steady hands for my work. And I've been trying to wean myself off of a lot of caffeine lately, so ergo, I'm trying this right now, Liquid Death, this is not a sponsorship, obviously. I'm trying options. This is right now, I think it's going to be a little bit of an experimentation phase for me. I'm going to be replacing. So instead of saying I'm just going to cut things out, I'm going to try replacing some stuff. I'm going to try replacing some of my sodas with stuff that I think will be better, but still have the feeling of soda. So I'm trying Liquid Death. We're going to see how that works, how I like this, and if that will be comparable enough to soda to try and, replace some of that. I'm also going to try and have like a day off because I work a lot, but when I have a day off, let myself have a little bit more leniency. I don't like calling things cheat days because that just feels too much of like you have to have a really strict diet all other times, and then cheat days. I This works for other people. I personally, it doesn't work for me because if I look at it like a cheat day, I go completely like off the rails. I will like just gorge myself on bad foods because it's like you get a free pass, to just like eat junk food and drink all the sodas and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't want to have a cheat day. What I want to try and do instead is let myself have a day where I am allowed certain things that I'm not allowed. It's not a cheat day where I throw everything out the window. It's instead like, hey, if you've been struggling with like really wanting that soda or really wanting pizza or really wanting something like that, ice cream, whatever, this is a day where you can enjoy that. And you don't have, like, I'm not explaining it well, but it makes sense in my head of like, you can enjoy it in moderation rather than just completely going off the rails with it. Because then it's less of like, I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this. It's less of like really strictly conforming to a diet all other days of the week and then having one day where you just give yourself a completely free pass to just go off the rails with everything. It's more of like, hey, you know, try and make good choices, try and swap out sodas for a Liquid Death or something else, bubbler or whatever for the rest of the week. And then, 2 days a week, have that soda. Have a soda. Treat yourself to that. You can have a soda as a treat. And it's like, you know what? All week long, you've been really good. You haven't had, any kind of like, you haven't had any burgers. You haven't had any ice cream. So on Saturday, if you're having game night and you want a little bit of ice cream, you can have some ice cream. And it allows for myself to kind of train myself into that moderation. Because then it's less of a, you're not allowed to have these things ever, they're bad for you. And it's not a heavy restrictive eating. And it's not a, well, you're stressed, so here's an excuse for you to have it right now immediately. It's like, hold out until this day, and then you can have a reasonable portion of it as a treat for doing so well. And it's like a more of a reward system than a you feel bad if you do it system. Plus then if you have the like delayed gratification of just like holding off throughout the week, having that little bit at the end of the week, or that pickup in the middle of the week and then at the end of the week, or however I end up doing it, I think that might work better than just having a general cheat day. Because having a cheat day, like I said, where you just get like that get out of jail free card basically, means that I undo a lot of my hard work from the whole week, because I just kind of go off the rails and like gorge myself and have all the bad things bad, heavy quotations, but like have all the things that I've been avoiding all week. I don't know how I feel about that flavor. We'll see. Yeah. So, I don't know. Part of it too of like when you have I I don't know how much of like stress eating is a natural response and how much of it is a learned behavior. But when you've lived a lot of years, much of your life, where like when you're really stressed out and people treat it with food, or you're having a bad day and people treat it with food, and then when you're an adult, you get into the habit of, well, I'm stressed out, so I'm going to eat junk food, or, I'm upset, so I'm going to stress eat. It becomes incredibly difficult to break those habits, to like, it really is untraining yourself from that behavior. And I'm inclined to call it a learned behavior, but I haven't studied the psychology of it enough to know. That it would be something interesting. It would be interesting to kind of look into the psychology of that. I might do that. Um, yeah, so like that's actually really interesting. I should look into that. But thinking about like stress eating is a huge thing for me. And because I've worked a lot of jobs in my life that have a lot of stress in them, you get used to at the end of a day just being like, you're so tired, you don't want to put in the effort to cook. You don't want to put in the effort to do these other things, even though it is better for your wallet, it's better for you, or even if you do cook for yourself, it's all junk food. So it's like, it's the struggle of unlearning and retraining yourself from the stress eating to choose healthier options for that. Um, so that's going to be something that I really want to work on, is to not have my first reaction when I am stressed out to be to reach for soda, junk food. A big one for me is ice cream, or like frozen custard, desserts, that kind of thing, because I have a big sweet tooth. Um, so that's a big pitfall for me. And so kind of trying to like unlearn that behavior and retrain myself to try and channel that into something else is going to be really hard. And I'm trying to figure out what that other channel could be at this point. Um, I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to be kind of like I said, this is going to be a little bit of an experiment for the next week or so, trying to figure out what's going to work. Like I said, I'm going to be swapping out some things to see if those kind of fulfill that craving. Um, so like swapping out some sodas for like liquid death, or if I find another alternative. The struggle is I'm not a huge sparkling water person, but these are flavored, so I'm hoping that will help. I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah. So swapping out some of those and then try and retrain it. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over and over again. But basically, the ongoing struggle is one, replacing those junk foods or those immediate like stress grab foods to try and find something that's going to be a better option, while I try and figure out the second one, which is going to be how to retrain and unlearn the habit of, oh, I'm stressed, so I'm going to eat junk food. Those are going to be the two big ones. Um, For a while I had Dash Pass, so I canceled my Dash Pass. So DoorDash is going to be even more expensive, which is going to be a huge deterrent for me. So I'm not going to want to order through. I am naturally going to not want to order through DoorDash because it's going to be so expensive just to get stuff. Um, which is going to be a big help, I know, immediately. Um, because if I can't order in the junk food, that means that I have to go through the effort of going to get it, which is going to be when it's, 9 o'clock at night and I would have to order an Uber to go out to Walmart or whatever. Um, yeah, that's definitely going to deter me. Laziness is going to be my savior. No. But it does, like, the more effort you have to put in to, like, get the junk food, it kind of undoes the it almost it's almost like it defeats the purpose of getting the junk food in the first place. So um got rid of Dash Pass, so not going to be ordering out as much, which is going to be big help. um and then trying to have days where it's a, like, you can have a thing as a treat on these days and limit it to, like, one thing, is going to be really helpful. So it's like, because that was one thing, I just went grocery shopping, and so in my head I was thinking, like, okay, if you have to choose between, you know, pasta or ice cream, you need to make one or the other. You can't have both. And I wound up walking out with neither because I couldn't decide, which, props to me. But it's one of those things of, like, just kind of forcing myself into those decisions of one or the other, not both. So yeah, a lot of moving pieces, to try and get things going forward and kind of get the train back on the rails here. I'm trying not to get too down on myself for gaining back the weight. I know what I did wrong. I know exactly what I did wrong. And while I could sit here and make excuses for myself and be like, oh, it was stressful, blah, 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 I didn't have somebody to work out with, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's no one else's job to keep me accountable. It's my job to keep me accountable, because I'm the one that has to live in this body. So yeah, we're moving forward. We're choosing to let this. I am choosing to let this be a learning experience, not an excuse to fall off the wagon again. And that's the hardest part for me, kind of mentally and emotionally. But I am choosing to look at this as an opportunity for growth and not as an example of failure. That's going to be tough. But I now know where a lot of my weaknesses lie. I've put voice to them. I knew them before, but this has just kind of solidified where a lot of my weaknesses lie, and I have steps moving forward. I have a plan moving forward to try and mitigate some of those in the meantime while I figure out bigger solutions. So, little check marks here, just again, swapping out more unhealthy options swapping out less healthy options for more healthy options. Getting rid of Dash Pass, so I'm not ordering out as much. Trying to figure out the long-term solutions to replace stress eating. And then just getting back on that bandwagon and working out more. Yeah, so a lot of this is going to be a choice to be optimistic about the future, but just like with everything else, you have to get up and choose that every day. And it sucks. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep going. All right. Take care.